Did a ABS slide today. It was a front left wheel sensor. However, that was not the whole kit and caboodle. I replaced the sensor, and the back brakes were looking pretty crappy, so we replaced those. Nobody's driven the car in a while because you can't drive it because the ABS sucks. All that kind of stuff. Sir, put in the new ABS. The light immediately goes away. The computer's accepted it, ran the codes. Codes are nothing on the ABS. Fantastic, 100%. But in my diagnostic of that, I found that the master cylinder is connected to an electronic braking hydro boost, whatever. Not brake booster. Not the common brake booster. Well, that has got stuff all over it. I mean, it is caked, and we're talking like Krispy Kreme going to give you diabetes. Caked with some kind of fluid. I don't even know what kind of fluid it is. We'll get there. So I do those brakes, and I gotta quickly go to another job, but I pump the brakes, make sure they're all good. I've done Yukon brakes before. They're a cinch. Fantastic. Quickly head over to the other one. She calls me later, says, "Oh my God, these brakes suck." I'm like, "Man, the brakes don't suck." I know I should have taken it for a test drive. I was squeezed into time. I'm a monster. I know. Well, she says, "Oh my God, the car's ruined. What happened?" All this kind of stuff. I go back there because I have a warranty. I always warranty my work, no matter what it is, begrudgingly. Sometimes it's not great. Anyway, go back there. She's like, "Can you check it out?" Also, the thing says the StabiliTrak service is on. I was like, "Man, that light's been on, or that thing's been on." She's like, "Something else will pop up." I'm like, "Okay, let me check it out for you." So I start driving it around, and all of a sudden I lose power. I floor it. There's no power. The car's still on, and I look down and it says traction control is on, but there's no light on the dash for anything. Just the words that come across the screen, traction control. I'm like, well, shit. Well, 5 seconds later, traction control ceases. I'm driving, and I'm like, okay, well, I need to come to a break here because there's a stop sign. So I start coming to a break. The last 15% of the braking, you can hear the electronic braking going, ah, and you can feel my foot just going, brrr. I'm like, not the good. Sir, driving around a little bit more at the risk of my own life, I told my wife I love her before I did it, all that kind of stuff. Get to where I need to go, park it back at her house, and it's done this. I've lost control every 10 seconds, all this kind of stuff. And then the last 15, 20 seconds, or 20% of braking, all this kind of stuff. So I go back in, and she has enough brake fluid, all that kind of stuff. No lights are on, so it says StabiliTrak not working, or service, all that stuff. So it turns out that all that's the suspension. She has like 140,000 miles on this thing, 150, I don't know. The thing looks like shit. Let me start listing off some of the stuff that's on there that I found wrong with it. And when I started digging into it further, besides, because her ABS lights on, I'm not going to look in her coolant reservoir, all that kind of stuff. So I'm like, "Ma'am, come out here. Let's have a talk." She's like, "What?" I'm like, "Let me tell you a secret. The traction control is a completely different issue to what happened before. Your wheel says your ABS is working. Ran the codes again. ABS is working fine. Looked at my brakes. Brakes are fine. All that stuff's fine. It was just the rear brakes anyway." So I'm like, here's the things that I'm going to start looking at, and I'm just going to call them out to you when I see them, because this thing's a junker, and you need to get rid of it for your safety, because it's not worth the amount that you're going to put into it. At my destination, the StabiliTrak, the traction control issue. We fixed the ABS, we fixed the rear brakes. The e-brake doesn't work because the cord has stretched, so she doesn't have any e-brake. So if I didn't come to a stop, I would have, I don't know. There, when I felt under the dashboard, like this, big old box popped out, and that's the controller for the e-brake apparently, and somebody's been dicking with that. There's wires frayed everywhere. There's caps on it. Goes into the brake switch. It goes into all that stuff. I'm just like, somebody's been dicking with this, and it looks like shit, to be quite frank with you. The AC doesn't work. She wanted me to look at the AC earlier on as well. I'm like, your AC doesn't work. She wanted me to add Freon. I said, ma'am, your Freon's fine. I didn't say that. I said, it won't accept it because you have a leak somewhere. That's what I said. Which she did, which that's another story. But so, doing a little bit more investigating. I looked at the bottom of her car where her compressor was. Her belt has been completely ripped off. So that's why the AC's not working. Your belt's gone. That's because they tried fixing the AC, and then they fixed the, I don't know if they fixed the compressor, but I know they fixed the blower motor, and the blower motor does not work hardly at all now. And there, you can just literally put your hand under there and pull wires that they have fucked around with the blower motor. The dashboard is half apart. When you turn, it's almost to that point where it's going to start sparking with the rotation meter. And you can literally grab under the dashboard and lift it up and see all the wires. The key only works 1/10 of the time. Other than that, it will not turn the ignition switch. There's so much. Like I said, the electronic brake system had shit all over it. It was caked like a diabetes person's dream. And she had on the other side of the car, the Yukon, she had no coolant in her system, like none. So it's probably spitting somewhere, either from a hose, from a head gasket, I don't know. She also had to service your oil. She's like, but I did my oil recently. I'm like, yeah, no. Yukons are supposed to have a red wire. It's a thin red wire with a fuse on it that runs into the positive terminal where the battery connects. That had been broken off, and the fuse was busted, and that ran into the electronic brake booster, the hydro booster. Her front rotor was all kinds of scratched up for whatever reason. She said she was okay with that. And everywhere I looked, there was just more and more and more and more and more. And eventually I said, ma'am, you need to get rid of this thing, because you're going to spend so much money trying to fix it up. And I promise you, because she was worried about the brakes today financially. And I was like, if you're worried about that, I mean, how many more thousands are you going to spend trying to fix this thing so it's okay to drive? I do front two brakes for 100 and the back two brakes for 100. I just did the back two brakes today. Did 100 on that. That was $150 because she paid for the part with the brakes. So $150, and then the ABS thing, it came out to like $300 total for her, and this was a lot, understandably. But now you have to change your electronic hydro booster. You have to change all this stuff. Your suspension, why is the traction control doing this thing? You just need to get rid of it. If you can hardly afford the brake stuff, you just get rid of it and do a new car. And she was like, I think I'm gonna have that talk with my husband because we can't. She put her foot down. She's like, I'm not driving this thing again, not with the kids. And I said, that's a very smart thing to do. Even if you buy some other kind of beater up, or find one that has less problems than this. Because, I mean, everywhere I looked, it was just, and I haven't even listed all this. I'm sure I'm forgetting like half of the stuff. Yeah, the radio wasn't original. I love it when they do that. It always throws the radio code. Beautiful. And it will never clear. You will always have that code. Anyway, but it's always that. It was the one uncle that always tries to fix things that had been fixing this thing, and well, now how that goes. So, yeah. Did she want to die? No. So, thankfully she's going to get rid of it. We gave her the number of a junk place that will help her get rid of it, and yeah. But she got new brakes, and they work for 80%. So that electronic brake booster, the ABS works. There's that. You can work in a junkyard.